Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher, and I am grateful to serve this congregation as its minister. The congregation is you. The facility this week has been closed because of a wonderful paving project. Our long driveway and parking lots are being paved. We are grateful to the generosity of Glenn Looney and in the memory of his wife Joan for this project. And so we are creating a virtual service for you this Sunday. Welcome to all of you who are visiting us for the first time. I hope that you'll let yourselves be known in the comment section below the video box if you're with us live. And even if you're not, if you're interested in finding out more about the congregation, please visit our website at www.uunaples.org, or even better, contact our administrator, Anna Riazzi. Her email is office@uunaples.org. And if you let her know you're interested, she'll send you some information and also put you on the mailing list so you can find out all about the great things that are happening around the congregation. We're excited that in just a few weeks, on July 4th, we'll be opening up the pavilion for folks to watch the service out there. And then later on in August, for everybody to begin filtering into the sanctuary and trying to sort of recreate our congregation together. I'm grateful this morning for our music coordinator, Stu Shelton, for creating some beautiful music videos for the service today. Thank you, Stu. I am grateful for this congregation and for all the work it's done to prepare for our coming together again. Today is the longest day of the year. Our summer solstice actually happens at 11 o'clock sometime tonight, but today and tomorrow share the distinction of being the longest days of the year, and so we're grateful. And this service is about gratitude, and we hope to carry the arc of the day through our service. So I hope you'll sit back, take a deep breath, and let's center ourselves together with this morning's prelude. Our opening words this morning are attributed to the Kalidasa, a salutation to the dawn. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of our existence, the bliss of growth, the splendor of beauty. For every yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow only a vision. But today, well spent, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation of the dawn. Let's join together in our chalice lighting words printed on your screen.
In the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the unity we seek. Let's join in singing our opening hymn, Morning Has Come.
When my boys were young and I used to drive them to school in the morning, they would often ask me to tell them a story. Just make up a story on the spot. And somehow I was able to do that, often trying to weave in the events of the day, or sometimes the lessons I wanted them to learn into those stories. So here's a story for this morning. A long time ago, in a land far, far away, there lived a young couple, not exactly just starting out on their journey, but young and fresh still. They had managed to scrape together enough to build a house on a small plot of land with a couple of chickens and a goat in the yard. And they were looking forward to filling their home with family. Unfortunately, the family that actually arrived wasn't what they had in mind. You see, the young woman's sister and her husband fell on hard times and asked if they could come and stay with the young couple. And of course, the couple said yes, knowing that it wasn't just the sister and brother-in-law, but 3 children, and a grandmother. So they arrived, they figured things out in terms of space, and they began to make the best of a bad situation. But the young man was not happy. This wasn't what he had planned, wasn't what he hoped for. This was his wife's family, and of course he liked them, but it wasn't working as well as he had hoped it would. There are too many people in the way, too many children underfoot, and he was beginning to argue with his wife about the situation. So he did what any good young man would do. He went and talked to his rabbi. He explained the whole situation to his rabbi, and he said, "Rabbi, I'm unhappy. I don't know what to do." And of course, what the rabbi wanted to say was, "Suck it up. I have 8 people at home too," but that's not what rabbis do. So the rabbi said, "Young man, I have 3 challenges, 3 lessons I need you to learn, and I want you to do them one at a time. First, go home and just watch, observe what's happening. Take your time. And when you think you've learned something new, come back and see me." So the young man went home and he tried to see what was going on amidst all the hubbub, but he didn't quite see anything until one day, late in the afternoon, when he walked in the door and nobody noticed he had arrived. And he just stood there for a while and watched. And what he saw was that people were sort of working together, even amidst the chaos, that they were making room for each other. They were squeezing their elbows when they needed to. They were finding their own little places within the small house to be and to make their own. They were occasionally helping one another. There was a pattern emerging from the chaos. And so the young man turned right around and went back out the door and went to see his rabbi. He said, Rabbi, I have learned something. There is some order amidst the chaos that I see. But Rabbi, I'm still not sure what this helps, how this helps. I'm still arguing with my wife. What am I going to do? And so the rabbi, still holding his tongue, said, young man, your next challenge, your next lesson is to go home and observe your wife. Pay attention to her. Give her help when you can. Give her some praise if you can. So the young man said, well, this shouldn't be too hard. I love my wife. So he did just that. He went home and he observed and he wondered at how she leaned in when her help was needed, how she stood back to create space for others when they were taking control, how she enjoyed and loved creating food for the whole family, how she did it with love. And of course, how she appreciated his attention, his praise, and what that did in terms of their relationship and their vision of each other in each other's eyes. And so he went back to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, thank you so much. Things are so much improved between my wife and me. It's wonderful, but there are still all these people in the house and these young children running around. What am I going to do? So the rabbi said, your final lesson, young man, is to go home and teach, perhaps to the young children, what you have learned. So the young man pondered this for a long time, trying to figure out how he could teach what he had learned. But he was a storyteller. He loved to tell stories, and so at bedtime he began to tell stories to the young children as they went to sleep about friends and relationships, about how we care for one another, how to care for each other, about hard times and good times. And in the process of telling these stories, he began to love these children almost as his own and appreciate them for their individuality and who they were, even amidst the chaos of the house. And as he walked back to visit the rabbi for the last time, knowing he would be thanking the rabbi again, he grew to understand that this situation that they were in may not last forever, but if it did, he would be able to make the best, seeing wonder and order amidst the chaos, appreciating his wife for the blessings that she brings to a family, and appreciating each other individual, expressing in some way his own love through story. And so, yes, he went and expressed his gratitude to the rabbi for teaching him about gratitude for what was. Now, none of us would want to hear from a rabbi or a minister, for that matter, to just suck it up. We need to learn in our own way sometimes. And yet, the story reveals a tension between sort of our hopes, our expectations built on what we have created, and when those expectations go awry. And sometimes we have trouble finding gratitude amidst all of that. I mean, this is human nature. If we're struggling to make ends meet, if we're struggling to survive, our attention is there. But once we've achieved all those things, all those needs, that sort of the basic needs, then we begin to look out and beyond and say, what could be, what happened, what could happen? We begin to take advantage of those things that we needed at one point, and now we're looking for something more. But again, this is human nature. And it seems to me this understanding of gratitude has two halves to it. One is that we need to understand and appreciate the preciousness of what we have, this planet, the people who we live with, the loves that we share, the food that we eat. And the other half of that is that we need to recognize its fragility, that things could change in an instant. And so that builds in us an appreciation not only for what we had, but that life itself is precious. So that duality of seeing the wonder and appreciating its preciousness, its fragility, is the foundation of gratitude. Even in our separation, we take time to honor in gratitude the joys and sorrows we all carry with us. If you have a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share today, I hope you'll speak a name as we light these candles of community, each representing someone in our community, someone beyond our walls who's struggling, and all those
in the world who are in need.
Let's join our spirits together in gratitude on this wondrous day where we have the abundance of our lives before us. On this day of bounty, we remember all those who do not have enough, who are afraid, who are lonely, who suffer. We wish for the abundance of this world to be shared, for fear to become love, for the lonely to feel welcomed, and for the suffering to know rest and joy. For the labors, the love, the care that gave us the delights of this day and every day, we say thank you. For the nourishment of our spirit, the challenges that strengthen us, and the friends we have on the journey, we sing thank you. For all that is our lives, for these good gifts we whisper, thank you. Overflowing with gratitude, let us shout, thank you, thank you. Amen. Let's share some time in silence. Our first reading this morning is from the Reverend Martha Valentin, The Golden Present. The golden present is not like the proverbial egg that expects you to sit on it and wait. It is instead a scrumptious feast to be served when you call. Look around. It awaits your response. One that says, yes, I see you. Yes, I choose you. Yes. The golden present ever reaches for you and wonders if you'll come to unwrap its gifts. When we think about the preciousness of this earth and this place in which we live, sometimes it's hard to imagine taking it for granted, but of course we do. Our minds get caught up in other things, sometimes necessarily, sometimes not so much. We get caught up in ourselves, or our troubles, or our family's troubles. We get caught up in the thick of thin things, as Stephen Covey once put it. Opening ourselves to grace, taking a moment now and then to find the golden present, is part of learning gratitude, of observing a loved one carefully, appreciating their movements, their emotions, the work of their life. We all know pain. We all know suffering. We all know loss. Some, yes, more than others. But all these are part of the human condition. To recognize the beauty around us sometimes takes a little work to pull ourselves away and be in the moment. Now is the time for us to express our gratitude for this congregation and all the ways in which it nourishes our lives, for the way it's kept us together during this pandemic, for its good and generous people, for the beauty and sanctuary of its memorial garden to our outreach in the wider community. We're grateful for all the work that's happened since we've been away to beautify both the interior and the exterior of the building and our grounds. And we will certainly be ready to welcome you back in person when July 4th rolls around. But for now, show, I hope, your gratitude and mail your contribution today for the ongoing mission of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. Your gift will be gratefully received. You can see our address on the screen if you'd like to write a check, or if you'd like to donate online and perhaps find out more about this congregation. Visit us at www.uunaples.org. And thank you. sun today has reached its zenith and begins its journey toward the horizon, as it will do down the latitudes as we move through the summer solstice, which means change. Our second reading this morning comes from the Reverend Dr. Mark Morrison Reed. Let me die laughing. We are all dying. Our lives always moving toward completion. And we need to learn to live with death, and to understand that death is not the worst of all events. We need to fear not death, but life. Empty lives, loveless lives, lives that do not build upon the gifts that each of us has been given, lives that are like living deaths, lives which never take time to savor and appreciate, lives in which we never pause to breathe deeply. We need to fear not death, but squandering the lives we have been miraculously given. So let me die laughing, savoring one of life's crazy moments. Let me die holding the hand of the one I love, and recalling that I tried to love and was loved in return. Let me die remembering that life has been good and that I did my best. But today, just remind me that I am dying so that I can live, savor, and love with all my heart. Unitarian Universalist minister Forrest Church wrote on many occasions that religion is our human response to the dual reality of being alive and having to die. Facing our own death, we try to make meaning of it all, try to answer the questions of who we are and why we're here. As we age, we begin to come to terms more directly with our own end, suffering the inevitable losses along the way. We begin either to be absorbed by a certain ingratitude that focuses only on what has been lost, or we appreciate more fully the fragility and the fleetingness of life and learn to savor what we've been given. The challenges, the lessons are not easy ones. And few of us have a rabbi to send us off on particular lessons to learn. And they're not easy, especially when we can be absorbed by particular moments in our lives, moments of sorrow, of suffering, of concern, of anxiety, of loneliness. I know so many of you have lost friends and loved ones over this past year, unable to express that through community grieving. I know that collectively we've borne witness to trauma. We've been witness to suffering and brutality and hate. And perhaps we've recognized in ourselves some things that don't quite settle comfortably with who we think we are. It's so easy to get caught up in those things, though. It's so easy, too, to be bound up in our own privilege, our own separateness, our own concerns, unable to see with clarity the wonders of life. We can begin to express our gratitude for what we by sharing something of ourselves, by doing something, by being human, creating even more meaning, learning and relearning that our lives are bound inextricably together with the lives of others and with this planet, this beautiful planet on which we live. Real gratitude, I think, comes when we realize that we are not separate entities jostling for space in a small house, bumping elbows and speaking angrily, vying for space or possession or power. But that each one of us is the temporary home of spiritual creativity, of possibility. Buffeted, yes, by the hazards of being human, of being alive. But if awake to all that is unique in ourselves and in others and in the planet, then perhaps with deep gratitude, we can find our place within the richness and the oneness and the wonder of it all. So may it be for you, for me, for all of us. Our closing words come from singer-songwriter Carrie Newcomer as we approach the end of this longest day. 3 gratitudes. Every night before I go to sleep, I say out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for. All the significant, insignificant, extraordinary, ordinary stuff of my life. It's a small practice and humble, and yet I find I sleep better holding what lightens and softens my life ever so briefly at the end of the day. Sunlight and blueberries, good dogs and wool socks, a fine rain, a good friend, fresh basil and wild phlox, my father's good health, my daughter's new job, the song that always makes me cry no matter how many times I hear it, no matter how many times at the same place in the song. Decent coffee at the airport, the stories you told me, the frost patterns on the windows, English horns and banjos, wood thrush and June bugs, the smooth grassy calm of an evening pond, an old coat, a new poem, my library card. And after all these things, more often than not, I get on a roll and I just keep on going. I keep naming and listing until I lie grinning, sheets pulled up to my chin, awash in wonder at the sweetness of it all. Go in peace. Go in love. Have a wonderful day.